First of all, Graham, I was listening to an interview that Johnny did actually with Neil Mopay a couple of days ago, and he was saying that obviously, although the players are training in isolation, you're still managing to organise group training sessions via video conferencing. How's that working out?
Yeah, it's good. You can imagine just on a few levels. I think it's just nice to get the group connected so they can see each other as a group and just clock in with each other. It's a nice way for us to keep in contact. And then, yeah, the sessions are just a physical workout, really get the body moving, and those programs as well. But just to keep the group together and to see each other in fairly difficult times, I think it's a nice way to work. Absolutely, yeah. I think everybody. It's nice to have speaking personally, it's nice to have a break from the kids just to come and do something, because now I appreciate what a job the teachers do as well with my little ones. But yeah, it's as I said, it's a way for us to keep in contact with each other, to start a little bit of routine, because I think that's important. As footballers, they're used to getting up, they're used to going to work, as a lot of people are, and it's tough times. Well, with this type of technology, we're still working. We're holding meetings. I'm speaking to the players, one-to-ones, coaching meetings, just going through the games, taking the time to analyse, the season. So we want to make sure that when the season starts up again, we've analysed fully what's happened, and we're ready to go again. To know, to be honest, thankfully, I'm not the one making those decisions. From our perspective, we just need to make sure that we are ready. We're in unprecedented times. We're in the middle of a global crisis. We have to understand that whatever happens, it won't be perfect, I'm sure. But we've got to be able to adapt to that and deal with it as best we can. I can understand, but at the same time, as I said, we're in a very imperfect situation. It's unprecedented. There's a global situation that is a crisis. So in those times, it's about how can we help? How can football help when we have to play? And if we have to play behind closed doors, we have to play behind closed doors. I think everybody in football would agree that football is better with the supporters, absolutely 100%. But that's not always the case as we're in the situation we are now. So the important thing is, how can we help and how can we get things done to the best of our ability? Go in and clock into that. I've been speaking to all the players one-to-one, just making sure that they're okay, their families are okay. Regular staff meetings with the coaches. As I've said, you just, again, making sure everybody's all right, the families are okay, and then looking at reviewing some games and bouncing around some ideas to be ready for when we start. Just a general keeping in touch with everybody at the club. As I said earlier, I have a big appreciation of the role that teachers play, certainly with my three. My wife had some symptoms as well, some flu-like symptoms last week. So I was on my own with them. So that was a challenge in isolation. But I'm pretty much like everybody else in the country at the moment. We're having to do our best to make sure we're okay, the family are okay, and supporting as we can.
Obviously,
well, it's totally different in terms of we're not actually, we're football coaches and football players, so it's impossible for us to do that at the moment. So in terms of my job, I can't do it, is the truth in terms of what it's meant to be. But you have to use the situation as positively as you can. And like I said, we can still keep in touch with the players. We can still communicate with them. We can still keep them fit and active. We can still look after them and check their welfare. We can still speak as a coaching group. We can still analyse and prepare for the upcoming games. So we can still do our jobs, but just not the jobs that we would normally do in a normal circumstance. But as I've said, this is unprecedented, and we have to just adapt. Things like exercise bikes and and mats and equipment we've got to the players. Obviously, they're allowed to exercise, so that's possible. But it is a challenge. Like I said, we do some stuff as a group over Zoom to keep that connection, to keep that fitness level at a maintaining level. But it is hard. But I think it's hard for everybody. Yeah, there is. I think it's of course the first bit is it's like anything. We're going through a situation that none of us have too much experience of. It's unprecedented. It's a crisis on a global scale. So the first and foremost, the concern is with the family. It's to make sure that that everybody's okay. That's where the one-to-one conversations happen. You're making sure the boys are all right. And I think as we move forward, we can start to speak more in terms of from a tactical perspective or from a group dynamic perspective. There's other aspects of the game that we can work with.
And what kind of things have you been having to do to ensure that nutrition is kept to the same standards that the players would have if they were coming into training every day?
Again, the sports science department here have been brilliant. They've got the lads out all the resources that they need, all the information, and then we've helped out when certain players need that extra support. We're fortunate in that regard that we've got a really talented staff that can support the players in a good way.
You touched on it earlier, but obviously you've got quite a cosmopolitan squad, a lot of foreign players with lots of people who may have family abroad. How are the club sort of supporting those, and if they have any worries about family members that might not be with them at this time?
Yeah, we've been fortunate. I know Paul's spoke to a couple of our players, and Dan Ashworth as well has supported me. I've spoke to the players as well. We've got a psychologist working at the club as well to give extra support. It's case by case, as you can imagine. Like you say, some are missing the families and the home. Some are with the families. They know it's a situation that even if they went home, they couldn't really go and visit them because everyone's on lockdown. So everyone's trying to support each other, to stay together, to make sure there's a platform that everybody knows there's somebody there for them if they need to talk or they need to be supported in some way. So it's challenging times, but it's also can bring you together as well.
You should be live in.
Okay, is there anything I need to do? Can you hear me okay, Graham?
I can hear you. Yep.
Okay. You said earlier that your wife was showing some symptoms. So are you actually in a period of 14 days of complete isolation?
Pretty much, yeah. We've been in the house. She's fine. She's good now, no problems. But we're as isolated as you can be. We're out in the garden. That's our bit of excitement.
How long do you think it might take to get players match fit, to get players ready if there was a resumption, say, at the end of April?
Well, there's a lot of ifs, but yeah, not too long, I would say. End of April, where are we now? March. Yeah, that's quite some time without activity. It depends on when we can start training. It depends on when that is. You can drive yourself mad pretty much when in my position, trying to second guess what's going to happen. Clearly, there's more important things that everybody needs to concentrate on now in terms of the right thing for the country, the right thing for the NHS. We just need to make sure that when it's the right time for football to help the country and get back to playing, then we're ready. As I said before, it might not be perfect, the situation, but as you know, we're in unprecedented times, and we just have to make sure we can adapt and be ready.
Clearly, you can do things of a physical nature, and you talked about the equipment and the exercise bikes that the players have got, and yes, you can go out and exercise. But how concerned are you for, if you like, the mental well-being of players and staff at the club?
Yeah, and I think everybody, whether you're a football player, a football coach, a football member of staff, or somebody in the wider community, I think we all need to look out for each other during this time, because it is a unique situation. It's a challenging situation. We know that there's people struggling and on the front line at the NHS that are having massive challenges, and then us at home, we need to make sure that we're keeping ourselves right on a psychological level, because isolation is not something that as human beings it's so easy for us to do. But again, we're in this time and we have to look after each other, be together and take care of each other as best we can.
And is that as challenging as the physical side of things?
I think so, absolutely. I think if anything, it's the priority at the moment, because like I said, it's a global crisis. There's economies, countries, and lockdown, which I'm pretty sure has an effect on people. I know, just speaking to my wife, I'm working from home. She's at home with the 3 kids. It's tough having that adjustment time. We're the same as pretty much lots of families, I'm pretty sure, up and down the country. But we also know that we're fortunate. We're in a fortunate position. We're healthy, we're okay, and our thoughts go to everyone like I said, battling in the front line in the NHS, that to try to, get us out of this this global situation.
Are all your players in the UK? Are they all local, or I know some clubs have allowed international players to travel elsewhere to be with their families? What's the situation at Brighton?
No, our guys are all here. They're all in the UK. And that's why it's important for us to keep in contact, to keep that regular dialogue with the boys, make sure everybody's all right. Of course, some of the players are away from their families; they're missing their families, and that's something we understand and can sympathise with. But we just felt it was right for us to limit the international travel, to stay at home, to be safe here.
Graham, thank you. Stay well. I've got a couple of questions for Paul as well.
Anyway, thanks.
Cheers. Paul, you talked earlier about how challenging this is from a financial point of view, with the revenue streams being virtually non-existent, apart from money that you get from the Premier League. Other clubs are looking at their money in and money out. Is that something that you are doing as well? Is a reduction of pay something that you might consider?
Well, at the moment, we've been trying to do everything we can to, first of all, preserve all of the jobs. That's, I think, been our number one priority, to try and make sure that we keep everyone employed. And that's not just in the football club, that's in our charity outlet in the community as well. The second thing was to try and make sure that the matchday workers who, whatever happens, are going to miss out probably on 4 or 5 matches to the end of the normal season at this rate. We wanted to make sure that they were looked after, and we've achieved that. And then we tried to conserve as many costs as we can, on the normal day-to-day running of the club. So basic things like the energy consumption. We don't need to be running the training ground in the stadium with all the lights and the heating on and all those sorts of things, because nobody's there. So we can shut those things down and keep those sort of running costs down as low as we can. And then we've just stopped all non-essential work, obviously, that was going on in and around the club, which meant that we've been able to shrink our workforce right the way down to the bare minimum, get everyone back to their homes as the government have requested, and keep our costs down that way. But what we haven't done yet is look at people's wages. And that's obviously a very, very big part of our cost base. And without any income, any business is going to be struggling. So we're no different in that respect. But at the moment, we're trying to see, through to the next Premier League shareholders meeting to see, where we are at that point. We're very aware that, the situation in the country, as Graham has said, is very grave at the moment. So, it seems wrong for us to be talking about money at a time when people are losing their lives. We're just focused on doing what we can to keep people employed, keep people's morale up as best we can, and do our little bit for the community.
The Southampton chief exec during the week was talking about a feeling among clubs that you were hopeful of completing the season by the end of June. Is that something that is feasible, is practical?
I honestly have no idea. I've got as much information on, what's going on with the virus as anyone else, but certainly no more. At the moment, it feels, as I say, it feels like playing football is quite a way away. Whether it's possible to complete the season by then, I really don't know. But as I said before, we want to try and finish the season for everybody's sake, for the fans, for the players, for the clubs, for everybody. But we've also got to be mindful that the virus is still rapidly spreading in this country, and the mortality rate is getting higher by the day, very sadly. So I think we've just got to be cognizant of that and respectful of what else is going on in the country at the moment.
Paul, nice to speak with you. Keep well.
Thanks, Ian. Thank you.
Cheers for now. Cheers.
Tim, if you want to mute Ian, and then we'll go to Johnny Cantor.
Hi there, Graham. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you, Johnny, yeah.
I won't go over a lot of the stuff. I know it's already been covered, but just first, what do you think is the biggest challenge for the players in isolation at the moment? Is it the mental side of things, or is it the physical side? Which do you think is probably, where have they expressed maybe more concern?
I must say they've been positive. When I spoke with them, they've impressed me, to be fair, in terms of how they've took the opportunity to see it as a time to reflect, to appreciate, to be worried about the outside world, if you like, to step outside the football bubble, and to just take the time to consider how fortunate they are, and is able to put some perspective on a few things. I think we all know that it's a challenge from a physical perspective to maintain the levels of required for the Premier League, and it's also a unique situation in terms of being in isolation. So you've got things like boredom and missing friends and just missing the activities that you normally do. But they're all intelligent enough and socially aware enough to understand the bigger picture as well, that we're in this horrendous situation, and they want to try and stay positive and be together and support each other through it.
I know the club's doing a great deal. They have done loads of different initiatives over the last week. Have you done any calls yet? And if not, are you looking forward to picking up the phone to some Albion fans?
I am, very much. It's my next thing after this, after speaking to you guys. I thought I need to get something to lift my spirits after speaking to you guys.
Cheeky.
Sorry, I was only... no, that's what I'm going to do this afternoon. So I'm really looking forward to that. Really looking forward to it.
And just about the work of the NHS, I know everybody's coming together at 8:00 tonight to show their appreciation. What about you, especially from your personal experience and connections with the National Health Service?
Yeah, again, that's something I'm looking forward to doing as well this evening. They're just amazing. That's the only word I can use. Risking their lives essentially with in an imperfect situation in terms of sure that the equipment they've got hasn't quite got there yet, and then they're having to adapt and battle with that. I know from my own experience how professional, dedicated, courageous they are, and they're an inspiration.
And what about the general acts of kindness across society in the recent weeks? I'm sure you must have seen a lot of the different things that people have been doing. What do you made of those?
Yeah, I think everybody's been taken with that. I think there's just there's a sense that maybe we can come through this, and it sounds a bit profound, but maybe become through it be a better society, a better person. That's the hope, certainly, because human beings are good, I think, and out of adversity, sometimes we can have some nice things.
And finally, Graham, I know you spend a lot of time, researching, looking at the tactical side of things. What are you doing away from? Is there something that you've decided in this period that you can focus on, whether it's a football thing or a non-football thing?
I've just been reviewing. I've been reviewing the season, speaking to the coaches. We've all been doing the same. So we're getting a collective thought, if you like. So that's what I've been, my main focus, I would say. And then also just to make sure that the players are okay. I've, like I said, spoke to them all individually, and I'll sort of continue to do that, because it's a chance just to speak to them in a unique situation, unique circumstances. But still, it's nice to show that support.